Hello, you. I'm Johannes in Avatar. You're not. And believe me, it's quite a good thing. Another good thing is what you're watching right now, and that's GRIMM TV.
Great to see you again.
Likewise.
It's been, I think, almost exactly 2 months since we last talked. How have you been?
I've been good. 2 months in this period of my life, that means we're back in August. Yeah, time doesn't mean much right now. It's getting more and more intense. In a period where I get to meet a lot of people who ask me a lot of questions about me and help building a hype around the release of the album. And very soon it will actually be released, and that's gonna be great. But there's also will be a sad realization that the world is still turning the same way. There's certainly a part of going on Spotify or whatever, looking at all that and thinking, you know what this needs? More songs. And I remember we worked on, I guess it was when we did Hunter Gatherer. We were on tour, so way before we started recording. But so we met with Jay in Los Angeles, where he lives, our producer, and went through all the songs that we had. And we ended up, and it was so early that it was a lot. So we have this 12-hour Macedon meeting, talking music and ideas, and everyone shows where they're at. And come back to the tour bus, because we did it on tour, exhausted, fried, and I look outside and I see a homeless person. And it's like, imagine all this energy that we spent on these fucking songs today. Because we're very smart people and driven and capable. What good could we have done in this world? And I got this vision of us. It looked like a Monty Python sketch. I saw the five of us running with everyone holding on to one bucket of water, smiling, super excited. And we're by the English coast, we're in Dover. So we reach the cliffs and we collectively throw this bucket of water over the cliff, down in the ocean, and scream, "You're welcome!" And sometimes it feels like that is what making music feels like.
Yeah. Well, at least the little good that it does means a lot for at least some people.
Yeah, and maybe more importantly, on our short time on Earth, it means a damn lot to me, So I can be okay with that, and then try to be nice and helpful in other ways at the same time.
Yeah, I've seen more and more bands lately doing kind of a little bit of nice things for society, outside of even the scope of their just doing music. It's really really neat to see if they have the capacity to do so. I think Lord of Lost, for instance, is a great example in that. I think they have yearly a moment where they kind of empty their warehouse of merch that doesn't get sold, and they just donate it to homeless people in their town.
Oh, that's cool.
Those kind of things that I've noticed happening a bit more. So
I feel like
cool.
Gojira is a good role model with that also, because the activism was part of it from day one, as far as I know.
Yeah. There's quite a few. Well, I guess the world kind of asks for it maybe a little bit right now.
Yeah, but then there's also the balance of how the weird importance we put on musicians that I don't know. I do feel like you have to be white and heterosexual and not too old and not too young in order to sit and say, well, it's not political what we're doing, because we are in this weird window in our lives where we can pretend that we can separate ourselves, because we are not fundamental. If you have a different sexuality, or if you're a woman or not white, your existence becomes political no matter what you do, right? So it's a arrogant point of privilege to sit and try to be non-political, and that doesn't necessarily mean that you're obligated to always, with every song, tell people exactly how they should vote. There's a balance to be had there.
Of course.
But at least to try to speak your own truth, whatever that means.
It's always, to me at least, hilarious to see people commenting on social media "Keep the politics out of the music."
The best was when it was against Tom Morello. you know, because then they only heard Killing Name, you know, heard the riff on a football game or whatever, and seen them on big festivals and not quite getting it. Or other bands, especially in the States, where mediocre bands, you know, in the middle they play a cover medley to make people move because they don't move to their songs. And of course, Rage Against the Machine had some kick-ass riffs, so they do that. But it's complete. The fact that it's about police brutality, or whatever, goes.
Last time we talked, it was just before your kind of festival season. Basically, the one show you play at Alcatraz.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
It was so good. Because we had just done the Iron Maiden shows.
Yeah.
And of course, that was great for all kinds of reasons. The fanboy dream come true and everything. And these huge shows, what a great opportunity. It still came with the challenge of being the opening band. So there's a certain type of work there to read the audience, to grab onto them and take them to take them to that place where you want to get someone when you're on stage in a way that you introduce yourself to them. You're trying to make people get what you're all about and get them going and have a good time without them necessarily having a huge relationship to you. Of course, in some countries, there was a bigger portion of our people in there, but it was ultimately Iron Maiden shows, and we were guests. We had fun doing that, and got used to that environment. But then ending that whole thing with a festival slot in our own name, and you look out at this giant crowd, and they're ours. So like, oh, I'm out of breath. They can sing the chorus, and they can sing the chorus, you know. So and it's more that, you know, how we have one leg in traditional heavy metal, and well, we have many legs, I guess, but one of the legs is more in extreme metal. So there's a circle pit, there are crowd surfing, you know, all these things are happening. Like it was our people, you know. So it was like you had almost forgotten what that felt like, because before our meeting shows, we also had a long break. Finishing writing, then recording, mixing videos, photos, everything. So we had our touring schedule has been empty for the longest time since forever, really. So it was so long ago that it was just bliss to do that and be reminded of, you know, to reap a bit the rewards of everything you worked for that leads to that point. So no, it was special.
Yeah. I was in the photo pit and at the start of it, and you could really feel the energy and anticipation like before it started, and then when it started, like just you could feel like the energy just like sending your way.
Exactly. It was a great release.
Yeah, and I have to mention that like there were some people that I knew that were like, I'm not so sure about like going to see like who I'm gonna go see, because there were some other bands starting too, and they ended up deciding to check out Avatar, and then afterwards like, whoa, that was good.
That's great.
I at least wanted to share that.
Tell them I said hi and thank you for giving us the chance.
Last time we talked, we constantly had to call your album the album that cannot be named.
Yeah.
So now it's finally known, finally in the world that it's Don't Go in the Forest. Kind of makes me wonder a bit. Like, I know you're really excited about the title. It's a really good title. Because you repeated it a lot that you thought it was a really good title. Just made me wonder, like, it almost feels like kind of a warning and an invitation at the same time.
Exactly.
What does the forest kind of represent for you?
It's a couple of things, which is why it kind of works as a title for the whole album. One is just to trigger that part in, you know, if you are one of those weird little metal kids, you know, was drawn to this to begin with. Says, don't go there, oh, I'm totally going there. That's, you know, the forbidden, the taboo, the curiosity, that draws you into extreme music and whatnot to begin with. It's, you know, it tickles that nerve. And then comes, you know, there was an aesthetic choice kind of in that I see this movie in my head, directed by David Lynch, preferably. Of you're out there in the woods, you're alone, you're lost, you're afraid, and between the trees, as you wander in the night, you see lights. So you start heading that direction, and you approach it, you start to hear music, and you reach a meadow, and there's a circus tent there that shouldn't be there, but it is. And you step inside, and that's kind of the Avatar world, whatever that means, because it means different things. So that kind of just don't be in the forest, but on Elcover, there I am. I'm in the forest, and so kind of this antagonistic Pennywise representation, but ultimately what I represent with embodying the band is something more. It's more of a protagonist most of the time. So it is that, and it's also the thing of heavy metal and the music we do with the uplifting factors, with excitement, with energy of heavy music that always walks hand in hand with the dark topics, with the psychological side of what we're doing. Open that forbidden door, and talk about those kind of things in the songs. And there's a strange marriage there that is normal in metal. It's really fun to go and see Cannibal Corpse, and it's about necrophilia, and somehow it works. But the novel about necrophilia is very different. And other uplifting music genres usually sing about uplifting things, and metal stands out like that. And we're part of that.
Yeah, I always love it when I discover like a new band that has this very upbeat, almost like poppy sound.
Yeah.
And then you pay attention to the lyrics and that's dark. It's always.
Yeah.
Always,
I feel, and I feel it's kind of in the nature of metal. Like my go-to example stuff for interviews is always. You go and see Metallica, and it's a massive stadium. People have plastic cups of beer and go, Metallica, woo! And they sing one, so they kick ass riffs and all that, but also a song about a man with no arms and no legs and a bed who wants to die. And somehow it works.
Talking kind of about that sort of contradiction, like the latest single that you released is basically very much highlighting that. I mean, Dead and Glitz, it's kind of like that juxtaposition between...
Maybe especially that one of the whole entire album, because that's half of this album ended up being very intuitively written, very much I listened to the subconsciousness and didn't worry so much about in the beginning of writing, what is this about? I answer that question later by finishing the song and then, okay. So the subconscious got to speak a lot. But some songs are way more concrete, and that is maybe one of the two most concretely themed, like, I'm going to write about this, like, this is bothering me. And basically, true crime as a genre is more perverted than any pornography you can find online, the way we treat it, the way we have, because it's entertainment, and everybody seems to love it, especially women, but it's, I don't know, I'm kind of disgusted by it. Like, I love true crime and eat popcorn and you watch this insane tragedies, but we love it the most when it has to be a sexy girl, a sexy murdered girl, death and tits, we like that, young. And what does that say about us? What does it say about people who why is it so popular? Why is everything on my Netflix suggestions that? And because I don't think it's not information in the way of it's not a scientific study about it or an in-depth article and trying to understand femicide. It's not that, and it's bloodthirsty and it zooms in on the tears of the parents. It's real tragedy. It's also not Cannibal Corpse, because Cannibal Corpse is fiction. You approach a horrific thing through fiction, and that becomes an outlet for something. But here it's real people suffering through real thing and sensationalism, and because it's all It's rarely some weird old ugly man who gets murdered, and we don't care about him. We care about the sexy death, and it's I don't know. There seems to be some misogyny baked into that somehow in both the men and women who watch it. That then I try to take apart, and then the song goes. So yeah, it's definitely.
And was there anything specific that sort of triggered you to write about that, or was it just like kind of an accumulation of like you being bothered by it?
I try to remember how it started, because I certainly, because this thing is, it's rarely as simple as, reading news, get angry, pen and paper. You absorb, but ultimately the music will tell me what it's about. And then that's being shaped by what's on the back of my mind in that period of my life. You use that, or little notes if you're taking them. I mean, for most of the songs I had not taken, because I do walk around and, and come up with something, write it down. And many times what feels good, as prose or poetry written, doesn't necessarily turn into good lyrics, because the musical aspect of words and sounds, phonetics, I don't worry about that there. So I have limited use for that often. But no, I think I started to collect this idea of that sense of perversion in, I don't listen to those murder podcasts, but the podcasts I listen to make ads for that podcast, and even if I skip those on Netflix, they're there, and I start, and I've seen my fair share, of course, before I started to internalize this feeling. But then I heard a disco beats, and there were even more electronic drums on the demo version. That we it's a tricky balance there, where I feel it's many times if you have real drums, how to mix it with electronic drums on a recording because I like a very stiff ass electronic music, then I like a funky groove, and if you do both at the same time, they kind of kill each other. So we scale back a little bit on the final version, but on the demo version there was even more drum machines that Tim had played around with. So that even more created that that you see the disco ball and the DJ and that environment, and then this stuff pops up and I see the dead body,
Maybe that leaves an opening for someday an actual purely disco version of it.
One day maybe, I'm sure, because the way so many of our songs have all these layers, synthesizers and samples, and we work with this. We do a bunch ourselves, but then we have this Walter guy since Black Walls that we always send the songs to him, and he goes crazy, and then we get to pick and choose what we keep. But that means that there are already built-in remixes of most of our songs. And I don't remember what's on that one now, but I have a feeling it's quite a bit.
Should be fun. Kind of like with the album title being unveiled, the kind of track list was now unveiled as well. And like, well, as kind of usual with your albums, like the song titles sound very like kind of sort of theatrical, like they're going to tell like a big story or something. And kind of made me wonder if there's actually sort of like kind of a flow in the album, like a sort of story to go through, or
not quite. I think once you have done a concept album, then you keep. There's something that you start to be able to think big picture, even when you don't want to.
Yeah.
But this album was still. There was a stronger concept with Dance Devil Dance, not lyric by lyric, but with overarching Satan and rock and roll and straightforwardness and all this. And because that album was like that, it was important to do the opposite. And it was very, very figure it out as you go along. Again, the intuitive writing of the lyrics and everything, and let the songs take less boundaries on what the song was allowed to be, which means, some more twists and turns in terms of tempo and emotions within the same song. But then there's an aspect that happens naturally just because we write it within a certain period of a life. So you're interested in certain things. What's on your mind the most kind of seeps into multiple songs. So I don't know, it was looking backwards and also maybe being more this whole peel away the layers of bullshit with each album, getting closer to whatever it's in the core, I don't know yet. I'm trying to remove more bullshit every time. So dreams shaped a lot of it, surrealism shaped a lot of it, and the trippiness and letting things become what they needed to be. So that I think gives it an overarching feel. And a red thread in that this happened now. We could only make this album now. It's possible 10 years ago, and it would be impossible in another 10 years to do this album. This is all what felt important at the time and made sense at the time.
like Avatar fans and people that know Avatar know to kind of expect a little bit the unexpected on every new album.
Yeah.
Is there like any aspect or part on this album that you think might really surprise people or possibly even go as far as like kind of divide people?
Well, there's always, when there is a softest song on an album, I could always see that. So Howling at the Waves, which to me becomes therefore very special. I mean, when people ask what's your favorite track on the album, I truly don't have one, because the favorite tracks are the ones that end up on the album. You should see the shit we didn't put on it, right? So in 10 years, I might have an actual favorite or a least favorite. But Howling at the Waves came to be in a slightly different way, because since we started to play this piano version of Tower on the road, that meant that I would sound check the piano every day. And we always did that first, because then you remove it, then we do the standing drum kit stuff. Okay, we have sound there, and then we do the normal setup just to get rid of things that we build and put aside. So I will always sit by the piano first. And my secret side project is that I come up with a lot of stuff on piano. But it's mostly like, a mandala, when you draw in the sand, remove it immediately. That's just from, But sometimes things stick around a bit longer and sort of make sense, and that chorus existed. So two things happened during soundcheck as I kind of had that song-ish. One was that I was soundchecking Tower, and the other guys start to hear he's almost done with the song, so they go and pick their instruments. John was a bit extra early, so he starts to play along to Tower on the drums. And I got such a kick out of like, oh, I'm in the band. It's an Elton John moment. And just then, and how good it felt, to play along with a drum beat, which isn't weird. A lot of bands do that, but I haven't gotten to do that on stage. And I made me really want to, revisit those piano ideas and write them for an entire band. So that happened, and I started to put drums on these ideas as the song progressed. And they were okay, and then John started to rework, and it got a bit better. Essentially, it was not quite. But then he came up for another sound check as I was playing the piano piece, the chorus of what was going to become Howling at the Waves. And he starts playing along, and he did it on this standing drum kit that we used for a couple of songs. So it's a bit minimalistic setup. And he started to do a lot of tom fills inside of this beat, which to me, and I think we had even spoken about it, but I don't know if that's where he got it from, but it became my approach to it was like, oh, that feels like The Cure. Because how they have, they do something, and then they do a tom roll in every other bar, basically, over and over. That becomes part of the beat. And so that immediately, okay, now, like when we work on a riff for a song, when you have the right drums, that's when you actually have a riff. You don't have the riff until you have the beat. And there that fell into place, and and because it was quite a bit of action in the drums, so it has this driving, but if it can come with the soft piano, this floaty thing, it falls into place. So it kind of became jammed out there, and I told him like program that, so I had it on, we write songs in Logic, and he did it very nicely. Then the file got corrupt. Then he sits at an airport and does a more primitive version of it. Who cares? We know what it's gonna be. And I wrote the song with the drum being a red thread and part of the motif as much as the piano pieces or the vocals were. And it grew out of that. So that means, and therefore, the instrumentation and the choice of guitar sounds and everything becomes very different. And it's also, I realized looking back that there are a couple of songs that are some kind of love song in the past as well. But maybe this one is the most lovey love song that I've ever done, that I'm finally maybe man enough to say that, because it's one of those things that I love Stevie Wonder. But I could never, I don't know how to write a song like, I had a baby, isn't she lovely? Or my childhood was nice. And that's the song, but so yeah, there's definitely its own darkness that the song stems out of. but it still goes to a more pure, loving place than anything before. So is that a watershed? I think people are going to love it. I do.
It also sounds kind of fitting to somewhat more of a love song, that it kind of sounds like building the song is sort of like a bit of a labor of love as well.
Yeah.
Because it was like...
But I mean, it's kind of different versions of that. That's the thing. We are a collective when we write. So I don't see myself as a songwriter in Avatar in the sense that I'm more a song starter. And it goes for the other guys as well. So 3 of us kind of do that, but it's very quickly the whole measurement, like, is this good? Is this an Avatar song? And it's an Avatar song when you show something and the other 4 guys say, that's cool, you know? Yeah, let's work on that. And you kind of steal the idea and you, thank you, and you start doing things. So that back and forth collective part, it's, there's a lot of that. Sometimes, I mean, Magic Lantern, I would say, you know, it's hard to measure the percentage, but that's definitely way more tin than anything else. He even did a vocal lines for that one, that the melodies that I sing, it's all tin in that one, for instance. And, you know, we must be warriors, similar for me, but still plenty of drum changes and things that John provide there as well. But so sometimes you have 90%, sometimes you have 9% of a song, but there's always that collective effort.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed listening to the album. Like I got to listen to it a bit before this. I hope people around the world love it as much, and as much as you guys probably
so.
love it.
Gotta buy dog food, you know.
Once it's out, you're going back on the road for what, the next 2 years almost.
Yeah, and if we do really well, I want to turn it into 3. You know, that's always the goal. You know, to expand. How because you kind of I guess we played everywhere. The phone went quiet. Okay, let's go in the studio, rinse and repeat.
With now this kind of sort of forest theme on this album, is that something that you're planning to try to incorporate in, like, kind of the atmosphere of your shows, or?
It's more that tent I've described in the meadow.
Yeah.
The overarching idea of the metal circus, I think, is a big part of it. There will be nature sounds, but because of what the first song we're gonna play is, it's gonna be more water. So we'd certainly play with setting an atmosphere like that, but it's also, I mean, the show, because we were discussing that, but I also remember, because we did Feathers and Flesh, and then we had a lot of trees on the backdrop already, so it's like, because we tried to come up with new things.
Yeah, of course.
So it's more what we imagine would be inside of that tent in the meadow, I guess.
So basically, a bit of a continuation of the already kind of set metal circus theme, but
I mean, because that's the overarching theme of what we do. That's kind of our excuse to ourselves. Also summarizes, I think, in a good way, that we are pretty eclectic. That there is a good portion of death metal in what we do, and then a good portion of disco in what we do, and a good portion of classic heavy metal in what we do. You know, that is this blend of things where the only constant is that we write and play it, and then we do what feels right, and we mix and match as we see fit. So therefore it always feels very colorful what we do, which is why it feels like a circus and why it still makes sense after all those years. But I also think if you look at the past couple of stage productions, all theatrical in its own right, but it was a while ago since we leaned into the circus, that feels a bit fresh again to use, fabric.
And well, talking about eclectic, your like package that you travel with, lineup, it's always pretty eclectic too. We talked about it a little bit last time too. That like you said your praises to weaponry.
Yeah.
Recently was announced that Witchcraft Satan is coming along, which I love. Too bad that they're not coming to Helsinki with you. But
yeah.
I've seen.
But the other guys are cool as well, so we have a good replacement.
Yeah, I've seen them in Helsinki ages ago in like actual theater, where they did their show in like theater setting, and
cool.
They're amazing.
Yeah, and I feel which of Satan are important, you know. Like, we were joking about, or the frustrating part, if you have any black metal interest and you find a new small band, you hear, oh, this is interesting, you want to check this out a bit more, and then you look and, oh, they're Nazis. So beyond being, it would have been enough if they were just good and cool as they are, but now they also add a very important voice to it, and it's just as raw and just as spiritual and just as, if not more, than a lot of the black metal, but it's just from a perspective that aligns way more with my values and our values in the band.
And in a sense, it fits with like the thing we discussed with Alien Weaponry, having that kind of cultural heritage, like representation and their music. Like that kind of narrative fits with Witch Club Satan as well. Yeah. And I thought it was like an amazing like. Addition.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this line.
Yeah. And it's great that they accepted, because I think I read somewhere that like they're managed by the Mayhem dude, and he had always told them like never do supporting gig, or like always do your own like headline things. But that they were saying like this was too good of an opportunity to like.
I'm glad that people feel we are a good opportunity.
Yeah.
Because again, we were like, it's a jungle to find the right opening bands to, you know, stuff that we are interested in and that are available and willing at the same time. Because Alien Weaponry almost happened once, and then they got the Gojira tour, and like, okay, we get it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been it's a puzzle, and it's a nightmare sometimes. And because once you put it out there, so the booking agents know we're looking for opening bands. There are a lot of great bands out there. There are also a lot of bands that are not that great. And to kind of weed it out, and you know, all the different interests that are pushing for different things. So it's always a journey to put together a good package.
And I think we've had this discussion almost every talk that we had. I find your picks always amazing of bands that come along, and I love it to see like bands that bring along just bands that they think are great or amazing. Yeah. Don't necessarily sound the same or even anywhere near the same. No. But they still like. There's a couple of bands that like you guys do that. Like Alcest does that a lot too. In bands that you like, what are they doing with Alcest?
But then you had a good time.
Yeah. And there's a couple of bands that do that, and I always think that's just absolutely great.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had this old Kerry McKee with his acoustic guitar and his harmonica and his, you know, the weird things he done, and we really stepped out. You know, we had psychobilly bands and stuff. But actually, and that was all great, and we might do it like that again. But now, as you can tell, even if it's not super clear, you know, exactly how, you know, we're not a black metal band and we have a black metal opening band, sure, but also it's still under the umbrella of metal.
Yeah.
And there is actually, because I don't know, like, because this is the genre that we work in, there's an extra level of passion, care, and invested interest in it. I think I'm the pickiest with, like, if I listen to old Italian schlagers, my filter is pretty wide open for what I accept as good old Italian schlager, you know? Because it's just a funny thing, and I enjoy some old kitsch from a country I'm not born in. But when it comes to metal, I'm more protective and opinionated, you know, and I have certain ideas about what I like and don't like, and in what setting I'd like to see us in, and therefore who I want to bring in. And to make those ultimate great metal packages, when we try to be more restrictive like that, it's actually become more challenging. Which again, therefore, this package, fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be a good one. One not to miss.
No.
All right. Well, again, lots of luck with the album coming out.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully, a lot of people love it. And well, hopefully it's some really good touring.
Looks promising.
Yeah. All right. Well, guess I'll see you on the road the next time.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna be next year, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. As usual, anything that you would like to say still to whoever ends up watching this?
I guess I just need to remember to be grateful and say thank you to people, because it's like the other. When I was in Spain now doing press, we also had a little pre-listening event with fans there, and I did a little Q&A and a signing before. And one thing that people like what we do to comprehend that is impossible to be honest. Oh, we like it, and people showed up and you played shows, sure. But to really try to wrap your head around it, and then even a crazier thing before something when people are interested. So thank you for your interest is one of those things like that. Is when you really, that's an amazing thing to experience. That I struggle to wrap my head around it. So every time, like, for little old me, like it's so. Thank you for your interest.
Yeah. All right. And with that, thanks for your time again.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. See you around.
See you.
Yeah.